Hey, my name is Rick Counts. I live in Lexington, South Carolina. I'm with the South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry. Our tagline is "We turn conservation into compassion." The mission was to address food insecurity across South Carolina, but the way we do that is we unite hunters, landowners, participating processors, and communities in need through the different food agencies that are available. And one of the other things about our mission statement is we promote conservation and we help manage the state's deer herd through using responsible harvest, and we provide a sustainable and compassionate solution that transform illegally harvested deer into a nutritious meal for individuals and families facing hunger. So basically, one of the things that I like about working with Hunters for the Hungry is it's not only a way to feed the hungry, but it's a vehicle that people can use to promote conservation, manage our deer herd, extend a hunter season. And when I say extend a hunter season, that means after they fill their freezer, they may only need 2 deer, 3 deer for the year. It's a way for us to give them the opportunity to go out and harvest another deer instead of saying, well, I got honeydew list to do. I can take my time and go sit in the woods and still enjoy hunting season and take another deer or 2 or however many you want to and donate them back to Hunters for the Hungry. So basically, South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry was started in 2004 by Harold Campbell and a group of upstate hunters that donated extra venison to those in need. And the response was so overwhelming that they decided to form a nonprofit to help feed the hungry. We turn conservation into compassion by sharing venison with those in need. And one of the things, again, that I like about this is we get hunters who are basically providers for their families. Hunters are, again, providing for other people, not just their own family. So the reason I got involved with Hunters for the Hungry is I started helping them back in 2014 when I was with the Quality Deer Management Association. And I realized then that the mission was important to me, and I volunteered my time to help them with several different projects. And just being involved in this at this capacity now, I've seen a deeper level, and it's shown me a lot about struggles that people go through. And one of just last year when we had the hurricane, I realized that's a classic example of being able to feed people or help people. And so that one, and then some of the other things, that some people they get a disability, or they already, or have a low income paying job, or they even lose a job, or they get an illness. So I've seen, when I've started this job, I've seen a lot of people, that they were well to do and were doing fine, and something happened where they got a disability or an illness, and they're struggling to make ends meet. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing this. Probably one of the things that surprised me the most since getting involved with this organization is just the generosity of hunters and the processors to assist those in need. It's been really eye-opening to see, or even take a phone call from a hunter and says, hey, I shot a deer and I want to donate it to Hunters for the Hungry. Where can I take it? And I don't get those questions quite as much because we've done a better job of trying to market the program statewide. But the flip side of that is even processors. I mean, it's really great to work with processors that understand the mission and are out here trying to help people. They're not in it for the money. They're in it to help people. And there's a lot of processors that do that, and aren't in our program. I'd love for them to be in our program, but there's a lot of people that just are very generous and take their time and their energy and use it to help others. And that's one of the things from a hunter to a processor. And I've really enjoyed getting to know the personalities of people and how they are involved with giving back. All right. So basically, if a hunter wants to donate to South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry, what they would do is they would find a processor, that one of our participating processors from our website, and they would drop it off. And when they drop it off, then the processor will take that meat and they'll grind it up, put it into 1 pound, 2 pound, or even 3 pound packages, and then they'll donate it to the food agency. And then once that meat is donated, it's free to that process or to that food agency. So when it's free, we treat that food agency like a customer, and the processor will call them. They'll come pick up the deer meat, and then it might be 100 pounds to 1,000 pounds or whatever. We let the processor make that decision. So again, we're letting the processor dictate how much meat they want to have in the freezer before they'll switch out and give it to the food agency. Our processors play a vital role in making the whole program work. They're a huge part of this program, and if we don't have processors, we don't really have a program. So we need processors that are invested in the community and they want to give back. And of course, we also need hunters, because we got to have somebody to harvest the deer. So we have to have hunters to donate the deer, and we have to have processors that are willing to assist and take the processing part of it. So we need both. Basically, the way that we get the food to the family is through our food agencies, and the food agencies are picking up the deer meat free of charge from the processors. So they'll pick up the deer meat, and then once they pick it up, then it goes directly to a family in need, and that's the chain. So we go hunter, processor, food pantry, and then to the families. Venison is a highly valuable protein for food insecure families because it's exceptionally lean, it's nutrient dense, it's a sustainable red meat that's free of charge. It provides a high quality protein, iron, and B vitamins, and it has less fat than beef. So it offers a healthy and accessible resource. Well, I mean, this I could go on and elaborate, but there's been a lot of different situations just in this time that I've been doing this job. But there's numerous stories that we could discuss about how this program impacts the community. One of the best ones just happened this past year with a processor in Darlington. They donated over 12,000 pounds this year. And I think last year they donated about 4,000 pounds. And a lot of people in the community heard about what they were doing, started donating to them, and then actually found out he was telling people, hey, we're doing this. And it got out that, they were helping the community. The people in the community were actually giving him money to help pay for the processing fees. And so he ended up donating over 2,000 pounds back to South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry, because he was getting money in his pocket for that. So there's a great example of people, in the community hearing about it. We try to advertise as much as possible, but when a processor advertises and it gets out there, other people in the community get involved. And that's what I enjoy about this, is trying to get other people to understand how great this program can be, because we can help the farmer with reducing the amount of deer. We can increase the hunter's time on the woods, and then we can give back to the needy. So there's lots of reasons that this program is impactful to people. Well, I have been involved with the direct donations to the families. I've even been directly involved with feeding people for deer meat at facilities. So, just it's not something I get to do every day, but it's a great feeling when you know you're impacting people's lives and even sitting down and learning about their story. And that's like I was talking about when we started. There's a lot of people, that they had a great job, a great career, they got a divorce, and their whole life changed. And those are types of things that I've heard people tell me, that's completely impacted them. It's not just, we're feeding the homeless. That's not what this program does. It does, yes, but there's a lot of other people that get down in their luck because, again, they have an illness, they have some kind of disability all of a sudden, and it changes their whole life. And that's one of the things that we're able to do is to help some of these people. And I get to see that sometimes firsthand. And then they're very gracious for that and very thankful. So again, one of the things I enjoy. Well, people that receive venison is a really eye-opening statistic for me to learn how many people need assistance. We elaborated on that a little bit in the last question, but the age varies from seniors that are on limited incomes to veterans to children. And that's one of the things that I've been really, we knew there was children because we started a backpack program, and we can talk more about the backpack program later, but anywhere from a children to a senior that's just living off of a social security check every month. And there's everywhere in between. Another thing that was very eye-opening to me is finding out that people with stable jobs working a low income job, like even people in law enforcement and with the National Guard and so forth, that are receiving food stamps because their job doesn't pay them enough for them to make ends meet. They got 3 or 4 kids, and maybe their husband or wife is in the military and is overseas, and they just don't have the income and the funds to help pay for everything. And I've seen that where we've actually partnered with the South Carolina Family Readiness Program and helped them. So we've donated to law enforcement, fire department, family readiness with the National Guard, all kinds of different programs. As far as the impact on the food banks and the communities, I haven't been in this position long enough to see a lot of changes, but I have more and more food pantries that continue to reach out about the program. They hear about us and they want to get involved. And so one of the biggest things I saw was during the government shutdown. I can't tell you how many phone calls I was fielding from individuals and different food pantries across the state about how could we help. And so that was one of the things that really, again, people were hurting and they were looking for any kind of help they could find. And they were calling. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I probably took 100 phone calls over about a week and a half. As far as a feel good moment or why I do this, there's been a lot of moments over the last year and a half that has given me positive feelings. I recently coordinated a donation to a church in Greenwood that has a food pantry. And I actually grew up going to that church when I was little. So I was basically going full circle and giving back to the church I grew up in. So I thought that was one that was a great example. Another one is I've had many organizations and people thank South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry for their donations. And again, it's a way for me and our organization and our staff to assist in giving back to conservation and to the state of South Carolina. As far as the character of South Carolina Hunters, we have over 2,000 deer donated a year. This means that over 2,000 hunters are taking the time to harvest a deer, take it to the processor, possibly cleaning the deer as well. And then they're donating it to a participating processor. So this is a testament to hunters across the state that are turning conservation into compassion. There are other reasons that hunters donate as well. And one of those is because, again, we've talked about their freezer's full and they just want to continue and enjoy being in the outdoors, or they're trying to manage their deer herd by taking more does. It could be that they're improving their farming practice by having less deer to eat their crops. Again, thinning the deer herd is going to help reduce car accidents, which again helps the insurance company. So there's a lot of reasons if a hunter takes a deer, all these different steps can be involved with Hunters for the Hungry. It's not just about feeding hungry people. That's what I'm trying to let a lot of people understand. This is a vehicle that allows people to do a lot of different projects for their own hunting prowess. As far as people not understanding hunting, but want to be involved with Hunters for the Hungry, first of all, there's many people that go to the grocery store and believe that protein comes from the store in the meat section or the freezer section. Somewhere along the way, a cow, a hog, a chicken, a fish, or whatever had to give its life for that person to have that food. And there's a big disconnect with people that don't understand that part of the equation. So when we start talking to people about trying to get donations and funding and so forth, then, they're like, well, yeah, we want to help feed people. But then they say, well, you have to harvest a deer to do that. And so that's one of the things that is really, they don't quite understand Hunters for the Hungry. I don't know what their mindset is, but that's where we are. Well, I'm constantly looking for sponsors and partners to assist South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry with funding opportunities. And one of the biggest impasses I see is when a possible partner organization finds out that we're harvesting deer to feed hungry people. And that's one of the disconnects that people don't understand is you have to harvest an animal to get that protein. Like we were talking about, it could be a chicken, a fish, a hog, a cow, or a deer. That's where you're getting that protein. It's not coming from the grocery store. So again, another reason that hunters donate is because their freezer is full and they want to continue to enjoy the outdoors. Others are trying to manage their deer herd and they're taking more does. And again, the last thing is we're improving farming practices by having less deer eat their crops. If we can thin the deer herd, and it's also going to help to reduce car accidents, which in turn helps insurance companies. As far as hunters connecting to the resource, I absolutely believe that hunters gain a better appreciation to the resource. There are a lot of reasons, again, that hunters donate. And one of those is because, again, their freezer might be full or they want to continue enjoying the outdoors. Again, trying to manage their deer herd, taking more does, improving the farming practices, and having less deer to eat the crops. Thinning the deer herd also helps reduce car accidents, which in turn helps the insurance companies. Well, one of the first things I did, I put in place to incentivize hunters is the Deer for Gear giveaway. And this is a program that allows hunters to donate a deer and enter a drawing for hunting items. And anytime a hunter donates a deer, they can enter it into the drawing. This could be once, twice, 10 times or more. Every time you harvest a deer, you can enter into that drawing. And it also, when you enter, you're also entering your processor into the drawing. So we have drawings for the processor and we have drawings for the hunter. And as a matter of fact, we just got those out a few weeks ago to the different winners. We had 10 winners for the hunters And this is last year's drawing, and we had 5 processors. We had 50, right at 50 processors. So we had 5 processors get a prize, and we had 10 hunters get a prize. So again, it takes time and effort, and we'll talk about this more later, but it takes time and effort to take and harvest a deer, because all the work begins after you pull the trigger. And that's one of the things, if you're doing the harvesting and you're donating that deer, then you're giving of your time and your energy and your effort and your money to some degree to help harvest that deer, and then give it to a processor, and then give it to a needy family. My goal is to reach 100,000 pounds of deer meat donated in a year. Last year we were at 63,000 pounds. My goal, I think my goal this year is going to be right at 70,000. We're at 55,000 pounds right now. So my goal again is 100,000. And once we achieve that goal, I want to be the #1 state in the nation for venison donations. So if I can ever get to 100,000 pounds, then my next project is to be the #1 state in the nation donating deer. South Carolina is #7 in the nation in food insecurity. And if we can get our donations up to 100,000 pounds, maybe we won't be in the top 10 in food insecurity. There are states that have 150 to 200,000 pounds of deer meat donated each year. Their gun seasons are nowhere near as long as the South Carolina hunting season, but they're like 2 to 3 weeks, and they're trying to get deer donated in those 2 or 3 weeks. They're still getting 150,000 pounds, 200,000 pounds donated. The #1 state in the nation is Pennsylvania. I want to be #1 in South Carolina with donating deer. And I think we can get there. They do over 200,000 pounds. I believe we can get there. But a lot of that is part of marketing this program across the state and having the opportunity to be interviewed by We Hunt SC and My Game Processor app. But we have a long way to go to get hunters and the general public aware of this program and how they can get involved. So again, if we started August 15th to January the 1st, that's a long season. It's the longest season in the nation. And if we were donating deer that whole time, just a few deer, each person donated 1 deer, there's no telling where we can go with that. And that's my goal. As far as recruiting processors, I want to recruit processors year round. A lot of processors are open year round, but I still recruit processors year round. I'm always asking, like if I go somewhere and I find out somebody's a hunter, I ask them, well, who do you use for a processor? And they tell me, and I go, oh yeah, I use them already. Or they tell me so-and-so, and I'll go, oh, okay. Tell me more about them. Do they do a good job? How long you been using them? How long they've been in business? So I'll get that referral from somebody. And that's how I started with this. I was getting referrals from people. But one of the things I look for now is if they're open year round and if they're processing cattle. Because if they're processing cattle, they're being inspected, and also they're open year round, which leads to my next project is to be able to do depredation permits and the tags and so forth, so that we can have this program going throughout the year, and we're constantly getting donations. So again, if they're doing quality work, I can integrate them in to this system. And if they're willing to be involved, I mean, there's a part of them that they don't want to do it. There's different reasons, and we don't want to get into all that now. But some processors just, nope, it's not for me. I don't want to do it. Or I'm not big enough. That's another thing I hear. Well, I'm not really big enough. I don't think I can do it. That's not necessarily the case, because if you only have 50 pounds or 100 pounds that you can donate a month, Well, that's still 300 to 400 pounds you can donate throughout the year through the hunting season. So it's not necessarily that I want 500 or 1,000 pounds. I mean, I have some processors donate 1,000 pounds at a time, but I also have some processors donate 30 or 50 pounds at a time. So we're looking for anybody that's willing to get involved. Well, as far as getting processors to join Hunters for the Hungry, I'd say one of the biggest positives that I've gotten is that we are donating the meat back into their community. And when I first started, logistics were all over the place. I mean, we're driving because we got a facility in Spartanburg and Pacolet, and that's where it was all started, was in Spartanburg. But we had people driving to the beach to get deer meat. We had people driving down to Beaufort County to get deer meat, or Hampton County, and they're driving it back to Spartanburg. And I'm like, logistically, this does not work. We got to find a better system. So basically what we started doing is I'll back up a second. I first started using the National Guard because there's a National Guard base in almost every county in the state. And so I would call the National Guard Family Readiness Program, and I would get them to come pick up the deer meat. And then they would distribute it to those 3 to 4 or 5 counties within the area of that processor. So that was one of the programs that we did last year. Well, when I started telling the processors, hey, the meat's staying local, I'm going to try to keep it as local as possible. So when I started this year, a lot of processors between last year and this year found a food pantry or a food bank or food agency of some sort. And now when I say, hey, Hampton County, for example, the processor in Hampton County, all the meat stayed in Hampton County. So I'm not necessarily covering the whole state now, where last year we did 41 of 46 counties. We had deer meat donated. Well, right now I'm a little over 30 counties that have deer meat donated, but we go through June. Our season or our calendar year runs from July to June. So when I'm donating or I'm getting deer meat now, it's in that county. It's staying there, local. You donate it locally, it's staying local. And that's one of the things we're giving back to the pantries, and it's made a big impact. As far as amplifying the impact, one of the biggest things is for the processor to advertise the program to the community. Just like I was talking about earlier, when I had one processor last year, I think they did a little bit over 4,000 or maybe 4,000 pounds. Well, this past year, they've done 12,000 pounds with us. I mean, that's triple what they did the year before. And one of the things that they did, or I did with some of them, and I'd like to do it with all of my processors, is funds generate that. But if I could get signs made for all my processors that say South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry, a big banner that hangs out front so that people know, hey, this is a Hunters for the Hungry processor. It's not just on the website. When you're riding by down the road, you know it. That's the kind of stuff I want. So if that processor's advertising the program to the community, the hunters find out about it, they donate the deer, and they help manage the deer herd in their community. And then hunters and farmers can donate back to that processor, and they can all work together to make an impact on the deer herd, the community, and increasing their time in the field. Well, as far as donations, we can get into this more as a little bit later, but as far as donations, South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry is a nonprofit. And if, just for example, if they wanted to donate the signs for all the different processors across the state, it's a tax write-off. Again, we're a 501c3. That's a tax donation. So if somebody's wanting a tax donation and is willing to help with funding, we're always looking for funds. I'm always looking for partners. If you're interested in being a partner and being involved in some way, whether that's your business or individual, we're willing to work with you. You can look at the website and give me a call. My number's on the website, and you can do the info at southcarolina huntersforthehungry.com and find out more info, and I can reach out to you that way. Yeah, one of the challenges I have with processors that are even recruiting a processor to get them on board is, how much do I have to store and when are you coming to pick it up? That's one of the biggest things I hear when I'm trying to recruit a processor, because they think, hey, you're wanting 1,000 pounds at a time. Yeah, we've done 55,000 pounds this year, but some of those were 50 or 100-pound donations. Some of them were 500-pound donations and up. But anything is possible if you're willing to work with us. I mean, I've got pantries that they only can take 30 to 40 pounds at a time for the whole month. So those little pantries can take that small amount. And if there's one in your community, we can do the same thing with you. So that's one. But we leave that up to the processor as well. And they determine that by reaching out to the food pantry, just like we talked about. We treat the food pantry like a customer. And it's just like, hey, your deer meat's ready, whether it's a full cut, all these different jerkies and all this different stuff, or it's all ground venison that we're giving to a food pantry. We're treating that food pantry just like a customer. Hey, your meat's ready. You got 500 pounds, come get it. Or you got 50 pounds, come get it. So they're being treated like a customer. They're responsible for picking up the meat just like a customer would. And they're getting free protein. I keep saying that, but it's free. They don't have to do anything but pick it up and store it. So again, they're usually very responsive about coming to get it when we have a donation to give. Well, as far as Dempsey Deer Processing in Orangeburg, they've been a great partner for Hunters for the Hungry since I started. Jason does a great job. He's helped me find new food pantries, new funding partners, legislators. He's even does donations year round. So he's getting deer meat donated through depredation. He stores deer meat because he has a store there. So he's got a freezer running all the time. So I can ask for deer meat from him in March, April, May, whenever. He's got extra deer meat.
Any deer that get donated, for the last 10 plus years, we've been with an organization called South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry. And they take all of our donated deer and any deer that have not been picked up by the owner or the hunter or their designee. And what we do with those is we grind those, and they have partnered with multiple food banks across the state of South Carolina.
He's a great processor, a great partner, and we have a lot of those across the state, and I'd love to continue to grow those in other areas of the state. All right, so as far as our backpack program for kids, this program, basically, I can go back a little bit on the history of that, but we went, and when I say we, I was working with the Quality Deer Management Association at the time. I went to a Hunters for the Hungry program. It was their first conference that they had as a group in Asheville, North Carolina. And I walked in the room, and there was Charles Ruth, who's the DNR biologist at the time. He's just recently retired. But Charles was there. And of course, two of the board members, Bob Williams and Tim Sorrells, were there. And I went as a member with Quality Deer Management Association because they were talking about deer hunting and Hunters for the Hungry. And there was people from Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, so forth. So every program got up and talked about their program and how it was done and what they did. And that's where we learned about the snack stick program. As a matter of fact, we have a snack stick here I can show you too. The snack sticks were started from that program. And basically, we learned about it from Arkansas. They were one of the first states to start doing snack sticks. And we have a great partner with the South Carolina National Wild Turkey Federation. Their logo's on the snack sticks. We donate the snack sticks to food pantries across the state. They fill the backpacks for the kids with fruits, vegetables, and a protein. And this is really the only protein that they get. So we're, again, trying to help kids. And again, that's a whole separate program. We'll take donations for that program. We take donations for the venison program, just the whole program in general. But we do specifically, the NWTF is our largest donor with the snack stick program. Well, we've discussed, again, my biggest goal is to hit 100,000 pounds. And once we hit that, of course, we want to be a national champion in deer hunting. So that's my ultimate goal. But to get there, we got to have partners and we got to have donors. And right now, South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry was started in 2004. It's been 22 years, and we don't have near the partners that I would like to have. And if the more people that we can get on board and more exposure we can get throughout the state, the better this program is going to be. Because to give a little bit of a backstory on the program, it started in the upstate of South Carolina. That's where it started. And most of the processors, when I started, were in the upstate. So we've added Columbia, we've added the Beaufort area, the Charleston area. We've even added some over in the Myrtle Beach area. So we've continued to spread it across the state, but there's some counties that we don't have. But I want I want partners across the state. I want donors across the state so that they understand that mission and they get behind us with monetary donations. And if they're interested in other events or getting involved with other parts of the program, like if we're doing a fundraiser and so forth, they could get involved with us that way. Yes, of course, there are parts of South Carolina that we don't have processors, and we would like to incorporate the whole state. We don't have processors in York, Marlboro, Dillon, Charleston, Dorchester, Beaufort, Jasper, Barnwell, Fairfield, Abbeville, Saluda, and McCormick. So if you're a processor and you're interested, or even if you're a hunter and you're interested in this program, I need processors that are in those areas that want to get involved with Hunters for the Hungry. If we don't have a processor in that county, then logistically, we aren't providing any protein to food agencies in those counties. And my goal is to donate in all 46 counties across South Carolina. Last year, we donated in 41 of 46, as I said, but a lot of that was help through the National Guard. Love to have the National Guard's help again, and we've done some work with them again this year. But I really would like to continue to spread the wealth and not have to have the logistics where we're transferring deer meat from, say, Florence to Dillon or Florence to Marion or wherever. We're keeping that deer that's donated in Florence, which Florence is one of my best counties. But if it was, say, Marlboro, I don't have anybody in Marlboro, and I'm having to bring meat from Chesterfield to Marlboro. There are some counties that I still don't have a large quantity. I mean, they have some donations, but I don't have near the numbers that I'd like to have as far as donations. There's probably two, but the biggest one is funding. We got to have funding. If we don't have funding, then we aren't able to distribute meat. The second one is, again, we just talked about it. is not having processors in certain counties. So those representation from processors in every county and funding. And we have some great processors that do this out of the goodness of their heart, but they are running a business and this is their livelihood. And they're trying to earn a living just like everyone else. There are many processors that won't get involved because they think it's too much paperwork. We've cut down on logistics issues with the travel, with storing the deer meat. We've cut down on the paperwork that the processor has to do. We've improved the program with the different programs that we put in place, like the Deer for Gear giveaway, where we're incentivizing the hunter, we're incentivizing the processor to again get involved, where processors are winning prizes, hunters are winning prizes. All those things have to work together. We've even added ACH for the processors so that when they're getting reimbursed for their donations, that we're not having to write a check and then waiting on a check. We're sending them an ACH and it's going in the bank the next day. So logistics wise is a big issue. There's vacuums across the state, which we've talked about, where we just don't have a processor. And those are the things that we need to do better and improve on, is getting processors in those counties. And again, it can't just be any processor. It needs to be a quality processor, because that's what we're looking for, quality. Well, if I had unlimited resources, I would pay the processors for their time and effort. That would be number one, because some of my processors charge a skinning fee, and I'd like to alleviate those fees that a hunter would have to pay to donate a deer. And if we increase our funding, that would help expand the program. And of course, if we're expanding our program, if we got unlimited resources, I'd like to add extra staff. There's a lot of other things that we would like to do. Right now, I'm the only really full-time employee, and we have three part-time employees. So we'd love to be able to add more funding to help make this program be all it could be. And like I said, national champion, if that's what you want to call it. That's my goal, is to eventually be number one in the nation in deer processing or deer donations. Well, as far as hogs, we cannot at this time accept hogs. One of the reasons is the hogs have to be the processor has to be inspected to be able to donate hogs. And the second part of that is, if we do get the hog donated, then we have to have an end user that wants the hog meat. And there's a lot of people that, as far as food pantries, that won't accept the hog meat. And I'm working with several projects right now to try to add hog meat to the equation. But until I get an end user that's willing to take it, I can't really justify doing that. All right, if you're a hunter and you're interested in getting involved with South Carolina Hunters for the Hungry, there's a lot of different ways that can happen. Of course, you can donate a deer. You can get involved with our annual raffle that starts in August. We have a lot of great prizes that hunters can win or would be interested in. They can also go to our website and follow us on social media. Our communications director does a great job with social media and spreading the word about our program. If you have any suggestions for a participating processor, which we've kind of talked about, they can contact me as well from the website. Again, it's info@scHuntersforthehungry.com, or my phone number is on there as well. And again, anytime somebody wants to get involved voluntarily with fundraising, logistics, any of those types of things, they can also sign up for a volunteer to get involved that way. All right. So as far as non-hunters, we have several non-hunters that get involved or are involved with our program, and they're donors and they're not hunters, and they understand the mission. They get behind us with monetary donations. If someone's interested in the shooting sports, they can get behind us with our annual raffle. So there's a lot of other ways to get involved other than just harvesting a deer or being a processor or even being a food pantry. There's other programs. Like I say, we're always looking for funding. Again, we're a nonprofit. It's tax deductible, 501c3. Yes, of course, donations, financial donations always translate into meals. And one of the real things about that is every dollar helps to feed hungry people. Since I've taken this position, we've reduced our transportation costs by getting food pantries to pick up donations from participating processors. We've also reduced our transportation cost by not traveling to Horry County to pick up deer meat, take back to Spartanburg, and so forth. Sometimes, if you see our truck going to Orangeburg or somewhere, don't just think, well, daggum, he's not telling the truth. Sometimes we have to, but overall, we're trying to keep the deer meat locally in that community. There's certain situations where we're working with Second Harvest in Spartanburg. I have to take deer meat to Spartanburg with a certain grant that we're doing, and those are programs that we have in place. So there's a lot of different things, but again, we're working with the processor to package the venison, which in turn it goes directly to the food agency. And the less we can make that food agency have to travel, the less we have to travel or transport the deer meat, the more money we're going to financially continue to improve the program. All right, as far as volunteers across the state, we've been kind of getting a list. I've got right at 40 volunteers since I've started, and this is a new project that I actually started in the last few weeks, where I'm reaching out to those volunteers and I'm asking about their interest in helping with like the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic, or helping with a fundraiser, whether it be a sporting clay shoot or a golf tournament or an actual fundraiser where we're taking everybody, coming to an event, maybe a wild game dinner or an oyster roast or whatever, those types of events. So I'm starting to gradually incorporate those people that have asked about wanting to volunteer. I want to start incorporating them into events throughout the year. And again, those are just some of the highlights of how we're going to start using volunteers. Another just small idea that I've started trying to come up with is have like an area coordinator, like 3 to 5 areas or 6 areas across the state. So in other words, let's just say if it's in the northwest part of the South Carolina, like Pickens County or something, and we need a processor up there, or we need a processor in Marlboro County or wherever, I can put that area coordinator and say, hey, you're in charge of these 4 counties. Go find me another processor, because I've kind of exhausted all of my hunting contacts to find out where processors are throughout the state. And now I'm starting to rely on other people and other businesses and so forth that are giving me contacts or referrals to help me recruit more processors. Well, if you're interested in, again, being involved at this time of year, you can't necessarily donate a deer, but donating a deer or donating monetarily If you want to volunteer, you can reach out through the website. But as far as this program, we are just beginning to scratch the surface of what this program can turn into. And that's one of the things that I like, is exciting about, is, you know, like we did last year, we did 63,000 pounds. Right now we're at 55,000 pounds. My goal is to try to get to 70,000 pounds this year. And that's through depredation and everything else that we've got going on. And then as far as snack sticks, we had 75,000 snack sticks donated last year, but this year we've only had a little over about 22,000 snack sticks donated. So again, funding was down. We had to cut back on what we could do. But again, there's lots of different ways, whether it's donating a deer, being a processor, being a food pantry, volunteering, or just being a monetary donator. So all of those are ways we can hopefully get some more expansion with this program, and again, take it to the top. All right, so as far as sharing wild game, we've kind of talked a little bit about this. When you're hunting, you're a provider. You're turning conservation into compassion, like we talked about. And the hunting and the outdoor community values are deep rooted in our core. And long before there were any grocery stores, hunters shared their harvest with the community. And sharing that harvest was a way others could give back to the others in the community and to humans. This is why we use the phrase, turning conservation into compassion. When a hunter shares their harvest with others, they're showing generosity of something they've worked hard for. Hunting involves effort. That's spending time in the woods, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, after dark, whenever. You're spending enormous amounts of time in the woods, whether that's scouting and you're doing this with your family, or you're just doing it on your own. You're spending a lot of time in the outdoors. You're purchasing special equipment. You're managing your property. You're doing food plots, cutting roads, cleaning up, trying to fix a water bar or something on a road because it's washing out. This is work that you're doing so that you can have the opportunity to hunt. If you're paying license fees, you're paying property fees. That involves money. So there's lots of different ways that you're, again, using your time and your energy, and you're giving back to the community. And wildlife management is about caring for that resource. It's about ethics, and it's about responsibility to the animals that we are after or we're chasing. It's a renewable resource. We don't want it to go to waste. So that's one of the biggest things. If you're going to take the animal, you're going to harvest the animal, you're going to donate that animal if you can't use it. In a world where very few people experience the act of hunting, when hunters give back, they're sharing the harvest with the community, just as our ancestors did. Well, if you're a hunter in South Carolina, you're one of over 200,000 licensed hunters in the state. And if half of those hunters donated one deer, we would have 3 million pounds of deer meat in one season. So again, 100,000 deer donated, 100,000 deer, one deer is 30 pounds, an average, that's 3 million pounds. And again, if you haven't heard what you want to hear about, a part of the program that you may have an idea about, whether it's, again, hogs, deer, fish, whatever. There's other parts of this program. I have these things in my head that I want to be able to discuss and bring to the forefront, but I've got to get, like my communications guy says, we got to do deer right first. And that's one of the things we're trying to do. is make it where we're donating deer and we get to that 100,000 pound goal. If we can get to the 100,000 pound goal, then we can get to that next goal that's 200,000 pounds, and we can get on up to where, again, we're the top of the nation, national champion, whatever you want to call it. So again, learn who we are, what we do. And if you got a suggestion about things we can do and making it better, please reach out. Well, in 10 years, hopefully, first of all, I hope I'm still around. Secondly, I'd like to see this program in every county across the state. So if we have a processor and a food pantry, or at least one food pantry, one food processor in every state or in every county in the state, then that's already reaching one goal that I want to do, because then I'd be donating to all 46 counties. That's one goal. Another goal is, if once we learn how to do deer correctly, I want to involve hogs and possibly even fish. When I say fish, I'm not talking about brim or catfish. I'm talking about offshore fish. So if somebody's, doing a tournament and that kind of stuff, and we can do a fishing donation or some sort with tuna or mahi or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Those are just things that come out as I think about this program. It can be more than just deer hunting. But how the deer hunt, South Carolina Hunters for Hungry, would be a household name in the hunting community. And right now we're not. I can't tell you how many people that came to me last year when we had a booth at the Sportsman's Classic, and they did not know who Hunters for the Hungry was, what we did, or anything. And so I'm grateful that y'all are taking this time to watch this video. First of all, I'm grateful that We Hunt SC and My Game Processor app is giving us this opportunity, this platform to talk about Hunters for the Hungry. But we need it to be a household name that everybody knows who Hunters for the Hungry is. And if we can do that, then we can lead the nation in our donations every year. As far as partners, our biggest partner right now is the National Wild Turkey Federation. They're our largest donor, and I'd love to have more large donors. We really, basically, I did a list, and there's basically about 12 partners that have donated $1,000 or more, and I'd like to have 50 of those at a minimum. And that's just one of the things, this organization as a whole, they've never really went that direction. They've never tried to find partners. There's people in this community and across this state that I'm trying to bring on board, and some of them are a little more hesitant. I don't know why, but I'd love to have them on board with us. If you're out there and you hear about this program and you're behind it and you want to get involved and you believe in our mission, whether that's, again, feeding the hungry, managing the deer herd, reducing insurance costs by reducing the deer herd, increasing your time in the woods, all those things. But we're always looking for partners. And if we don't have quality partners, then we can't have a quality program. So again, anywhere across the state, if you're interested in getting involved, we'd love to talk to you more. Okay, well, as far as events, we have the annual dinner, which takes place in Pauline, South Carolina, at Philadelphia Baptist Church, and it's usually the first or second Saturday in August. I think it's August the 8th this year. But you can buy tickets for that. And of course, our raffle starts that night as well. So if you want to buy tickets for the raffle, you do get a discount if you attend the banquet. So that's a good chance for you to buy tickets at a better price for items as hunters that they may be interested in. And as far as other events, again, we're trying to put together an annual sort of a kickoff for hunting season, kind of some little small event in the Columbia area to try to bring people together. And if we can get area coordinators, we may have a small event in, the upstate, northwest, northeast, wherever, lower state. So we would like to have events across the state. But again, that involves staff and time and energy and so forth. But again, we're planning on having an event in Columbia, hopefully in April. We're still working out the details of that. So if you are watching, please check our Facebook page or social media, our website, and hopefully we'll have that program in place. That's something we're trying to put together. As a matter of fact, that was a program that I was working on today, trying to get this dinner put together, maybe even a wild game dinner. So we are trying to put together some fundraisers across the state and doing different things. But again, it takes effort and time and more volunteers and more staff. First of all, there's over 200,000 licensed deer hunters or licensed hunters, period, in the state of South Carolina. And if only half of those hunters donated a deer, that'd be 100,000 deer that would be donated. And that would equate to 3 million pounds of deer meat in one season. If just half of the deer hunters donated one deer. And again, one deer equals about 30 pounds of meat. So that's where we get those numbers. But the last thing is, if you've gotten some information from here that you'd like to learn more about, stop by and see us at the Palmetto Sportsman's Classic. We'll have a booth there. We'll be in the Goodman building. Learn more about who we are, what we do, and I'd be glad to meet you. Thank you.